it's not. It's a Windows thing. Anyway, good morning to you. Hopefully your Thursday is going well. Sometimes it's apparently one of those days. I was doing okay until about 10 minutes ago. Rise and shine. It is Coffee Talk. If I could hit the do-over button, man, oh man, I would. But as they say in live TV, it's live TV. As they say in social media, it's still live. I hope you're doing well, though. It is Thursday. It is a warm, bright start to the day. Let's take a look outside. This is our Tower Cam network. And we are looking good, my friends. Lots of sunshine. Thankfully, not too much in the way of inclement weather, other than just, of course, a warm and muggy start to the day. Let's talk temperatures across Central Florida. We are sitting at 76 degrees in Orlando. It is another uncomfortable start, relatively speaking. I mean, we were in the 60s not long ago. 78 degrees in Leesburg. Are you kidding me? It's 73 at least up in Ocala, so that's not too bad. We're at 75 degrees in Daytona Beach and sitting at about 72 in our Space Coast communities. First morning Doppler radar, checking in, seeing how things are doing. A couple of showers have popped up off the shoreline of Brevard County. Let's zoom in here just a little bit and lapse this. The good news is I'm not seeing anything that's all too powerful. And certainly this is not the kind of stuff that's going to be sneaking in over the next few moments' time, but it is shower activity, so it is at least something that I do want to make mention of. Know this, that even though we have a relatively quiet start, we are going to get into a more active pattern, not just for today, but over the next few days. We're getting more and more moisture in play. So we're going with essentially a 50% coverage of showers and thunder showers, and that's going to persist for us over the next couple of days, if not even getting stormier. Now, that said, we are going to be talking, today's going to be an interesting coffee talk because in addition to just talking about our local forecast in the tropics, we are going to have Gary Lezak on today. Of course, he's the chief meteorologist at KSHB out in Kansas City, but he's also the unbelievable, I don't want to use any of the adjectives of the genius or the brilliant mind, but whatever you want to call it, he's the mind that was able to find a certain organization to the chaos in our weather pattern. We've had him on before, and we're going to talk to him again today because we are right at the start of the new LRC cycle. The LRC, of course, Lezak's recurring cycle. So it'll be interesting to chat with him. We'll talk with him on the backside of Coffee Talk, but we do have a responsibility to talk about the whole weather thing that's happening today, so I want to make sure to detail that. 91 degrees is going to be our high temperature in the city. Beautiful. 50% coverage of showers and storms. Now let's talk temperatures this afternoon, and then we'll get into future cast. Inland areas, we're going with lower 90s. 91 in Orlando, 92 degrees in Claremont. It's a toasty day for sure. Back over to the beaches, we're talking about upper mid 80s in Flagler County, upper 80s for the rest. That ocean breeze is going to at least help you out just a little bit. There's something to look forward to there at least. Of course, hey, of course, what are you going to do? We need a little bit of rainfall to cool us down. We're going to get a little bit of rainfall to cool us down. Let's look at the surface map, and across Central Florida, we're doing fine. There is that tropical moisture that is north of us, off the coast of, say, the low country of South Carolina. And, of course, there's that nasty weather that's up in the Panhandle. That is still just sitting there. And an interesting scenario with that, frankly, because this morning, while we're quiet, let me come over to our first warning Doppler radar. Give me a few seconds to change over. Bada bing, bada boom. Let's come up here. There has been nasty storms up into Panama City, and I wanted to zoom in. And actually, let me go from the NOWRAD to the live radar up there. There have been tornado warnings up in this area. As a matter of fact, if I loop this, kind of see as these cells have been moving in, there's a lot of lightning up there around Panama City. Now, no severe weather certainly for us, but that moisture, that overall moisture regime that's moving into our area is going to be helping to aid in our thunderstorm development. So looking at the forecast today, just kind of eyeball how the temperatures rise. Yeah, it's going to be toasty, but we do get into those thunderstorms by this afternoon. So be ready for that. And of course, we can zero in on that using our Futurecast model, which shows us hour by hour what to expect. So here we are this morning, nice and quiet. But notice later in the day, we start to really cloud things up. Look at 6 p.m. It looks like, if anything, we're going to get into a later start to those showers and those thunder showers, and then kind of ramping up 8 o'clock. Widely scattered storms continuing through 9, 10 o'clock. So, if I were to say that there's going to be the window where we start to really see the development, it's going to be right before and right around sunset. All right? Debbie, good morning, Coffee Talkers. Seems like a nice morning until humidity and dew point rise. I mean, the humidity and the dew point are pretty much there, at least to me. I don't know. We've got a lot of moisture in the area. So why is this? What is going on? So you've got that tropical moisture over the kind of low country of South Carolina, kind of still funneling in along the Gulf Coast, but we're still bringing that moist air in our area, and it's kind of the wraparound from this area of low pressure. Now, some indications are we could be getting some nasty conditions, some tropical storm type conditions up along the Carolina coastline, but for us, it's just funneling in moisture more and more and more and more. And I wish that I could say that things were looking perfect over the next couple of days, but that's just not the case. There's a look at the blow up of convection on our satellite imagery. I do want to mention that there is still only a low chance of this actually developing into anything tropical. 20% over the next couple of days. It's not going to develop into anything organized, but it is going to give perhaps tropical storm type conditions to coastal Carolinas, okay? So just keep that in mind. But for us, it's continuing to pump in the moisture. Look at the Muggy meter for today, tomorrow, and really the next couple of days. It's irritating. Now, by Sunday, Monday, we may be able to get just enough of a northerly component that we start to bring in some subtly drier air. To dew point temperatures from the mid-70s into the low 70s would be certainly refreshing, but in the meantime, we're in that irritating scenario, which means heat index values today will be back to the triple digits, all right? Yeah, good times. Becca says, it feels so nice here in Sanford. I wish it was like this all year round. Yeah, I would agree with that. Janelle out in Omaha, good morning to you. Linda, good morning. Got a late start today walking the dogs. Good morning, Coffee Talkers. Good morning to you. I hope you're doing well. Tom's asking, is Saturday a complete rain out in Brevard? You know, at this point, I wouldn't necessarily go so far as to say a rain out because the models are a little inconsistent in terms of exact timing for those rain chances. But let's just take a look at where we are, okay? So there you go. That's kind of what we're looking at. Hold on a second. All right, there we are. Let's just kind of look and see where we're at. So there's Friday early morning, okay? Watch how this moisture is going to start really building. There's Friday afternoon, showers, thunder showers. It's going to be a nice wet setup. From there, watch Saturday. Okay, even in the morning, we're starting off with rains and then little waves of energy, but the recent models have been trying to paint more of the moisture into South Florida, West Palm Beach, Boca Raton, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and then by Sunday, maybe most of the moisture is off the shoreline. So we're kind of adjusting things around just a little bit here or there. Kind of depending on that area of low pressure off the coastline. Does it try to develop? Does it not try to develop? At this point, the Hurricane Center identifies the upper level winds as not supporting it. I tend to agree. But when I say development, I don't necessarily mean tropical development. I mean more, does it try to develop an actual closed low? Does it actually start pulling moisture into it and robbing our area of moisture? That would play a difference in our overall weekend forecast. So, obviously, there's a lot of events going on, high school football being one of them, Edgewater and Winter Park getting together. We do talk about a few showers, even a few thunder showers in there. For my fellow Knight fans, we've got college football on Saturday. Now remember, UCF has won every game this year that had a lightning delay. So maybe Mother Nature is going to assist us in that arena. I certainly wouldn't be one to be upset with that, but, at the same point in time, I would be okay with just a on-time game and those showers and thunder showers holding off and then getting a UCF victory. So, yeah, we'll have to see how that plays out. It'd be interesting stuff, though. But at any rate, when we talk about the overall forecast over the next couple of days, and I'll pop this up for you while I get our guest all set up and ready to go. But overall, the next couple of days, what you're going to see is an opportunity for showers and thunder showers building. And it does look like Saturday is wanting to be kind of the stormier of the days. So, you know, we'll have to see how that plays out, right? We'll have to see how that plays out. Okay. All right, my friends, let's do this. Let's move on from local forecast. We'll get back to it in a couple of minutes, but I do have a special guest in, and I want to make sure not to keep him waiting. Gary, just give me a thumbs up if you're good to go, my friend. Are you good? Gary, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I got you, buddy. All right, so everybody, welcome Gary Lezak. Gary Lezak has entered the room. The only thing I can hold against him is that he's a Chiefs fan, but I understand. What are you going to do? As a Bucs fan, I have to tease you a little bit.
So your audio is going in and out with me, but I can hear you barely.
Okay. I don't know why that would be the case. I guess we're going to have to try it and see what happens. It's going to be a little bit. Does it work? You want to call me back, Gary? Is it workable, or you want to try and call back?
It's workable, but your audio goes in and out.
All right, let's do this. Let me hang up on you. Would you call me right back?
Okay.
All right, we're gonna try that again. All right. So at any rate, what did I say earlier? Like the computer was being a little goober all day. Yeah, I see that there's an echo, and I don't know why there's an echo. I have the same exact setup from. All right, join the call. Join. All right, we're gonna see if this works. I still have an echo. All right, so that's better on your end. I do, and I'm. Oh, if you've got, sure. Are you getting an echo when you're talking to me?
No, I'm fine with you.
Okay. Live.
How about now?
That sounds good. Yeah, that sounds good. I'm sorry, buddy.
Is that better?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Hi.
All right. So, Gary, good morning.
Good morning.
I was teasing, saying that the only thing that I have against you is that you're a Chiefs fan, but I'm a Bucs fan. So
I shouldn't, of all shirts to wear.
Well, that's. All right. So I asked you on.
Who are you a fan of?
Did you what?
You're not a fan of Tampa Bay Buccaneers, are you?
I'm a fan of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I know.
But then you should be mad. You beat us.
Listen, I'm just teasing. I've been a fan. My father raised me to be a fan of Tampa Bay back in the creamsicle days when they couldn't buy a win. So, you know, it is what it is. Listen, thank you for joining me. I know that you are the Chief, so you were up late last night. But being that we are kind of ending one LRC cycle going into another, I was hoping that perhaps you would mind just chatting about the LRC, kind of what's happening right now and how that'll play into our kind of future forecasting.
I would love to. So please, if anybody has any questions out there, Eric, let me know if they do.
Absolutely.
Of course, you might let me know what you think. First of all, good morning, everyone. I did share this with my fans here in Kansas City, so maybe we'll get a few viewers that way, but it is early here.
Yes.
And this morning I woke up, I've got two dogs, Rainbow and Sunny. Rainbow is a 2-year-old black lab mix, and Sunny is an Australian Shepherd mix. And Sunny came from a Wesa shelter here in Kansas City, and Rainbow from Pets Unleashed. So both adopted, and they're wonderful dogs. So I got them up early because I'm on your show. and I go outside, and there was a chance of a few showers, but one of them happened to be right over my place.
Of course.
And so it was pouring. It was like a Florida downpour. It was literally that hard of rain, and but they went out, did their thing real quickly, and then I got ready for the show. So I got to take them out again here in a few minutes. But we had some rain showers today.
Yeah.
And Eric.
Yes, sir.
I don't know how to explain this, but the LRC just started. Like, you know, when you say a specific day,
yeah,
it's like what? Well, early October, on October 5th, 6th, or 7th, it begins. And yesterday was October 6th. Today's October 7th.
Yeah.
So the LRC began in the last couple of days, the new pattern that we're all about to experience over the whole Northern Hemisphere for the next year. Today is like day 2 of the LRC. And here in Kansas City, it's extremely obvious. Very different things just started happening. You can't see the showers in Kansas City, but there were a couple right over my house. And you look at that. I'm glad you're showing that surface map. There's a storm moving up the Mississippi River. We're on the back side of it, and there's a couple rain showers right over Kansas City. But the overall weather pattern just set up. Different things are already happening, and we have a huge Sunday night football game on NBC here in Kansas City. And that game is going to be the Buffalo Bills against the Kansas City Chiefs. That's a rematch of the AFC Championship game. And so a lot of interest, people, by the way, when the team loses, I don't know why I'm doing sports here, but I'm on sports radio here in about 40 minutes. I'm getting ready. but when a team that loses a Super Bowl, which was the Chiefs, Tampa Bay won it, if you remember.
We remember.
Congratulations. But the Chiefs, was at Tampa Bay. There's a lot of reasons why the Chiefs lost, and whatever. The Chiefs had a very bad day. But the team that loses has a Super Bowl hangover, and the Chiefs might be having that. They were 1-2. They're 2-2 now, but they're going to beat the Bills this weekend. But weather-wise, there's a battle going on. We have a battle of the models between the European model and the American model. I just did a quick little blog on our station, kshb.com, and I talked about the battle of the models. I barely talked about the LRC, but the American model has thunderstorms Sunday night by the fourth quarter. That's not good, and that could be a delay and everything. It's not just rain, so hopefully it holds off until 11 o'clock, and then we're fine. And the European model holds it off until about 6 o'clock in the morning on Monday. So last year, the European model had a very, very, very bad year. It did not do well. And that's why you never heard about, hey, the European model for the whole year.
Right.
And it's likely because of the LRC. A brand new weather pattern has now set up. So we'll see which model rises and does better with this new pattern. But the LRC describes the weather pattern that Orlando is going to experience, that London, England is going to experience, that Malaysia, a country, is going to experience, and that Kansas City, San Francisco, we're all about to experience, and we're just in the first couple of days. Things to look for: the Western United States is in a horrific drought. The fires continue out there. It's just been so extremely dry. Will this weather pattern be able to produce storm systems in California? And you look at your map here, there's a couple systems off the coast there, so something already different is happening.
Yep.
But a lot to learn. It's day 1 or 2 of the pattern, and we're just going to learn about what this pattern is in the next few weeks, and then predictions can be made. Any winter prediction you see before we really know the weather pattern is not based on enough information.
Right.
So that information will be something we learn in the next few weeks.
All right. So Christian is asking, what is the LRC? You want to give the quick Cliff's notes on this idea? And understand, Gary, whenever I talk about it on Coffee Talk, I've made a graphic that illustrates as best as I can just to give that Cliff's notes idea. But just so that you know, Christian, the guy sitting next to me is the L in the LRC. So
yeah, the LRC was named by our bloggers. We've had a popular blog for 20 years now, and the LRC was named by them. I just call it my hypothesis, my theory. It's a peer-reviewed published paper, and the pattern sets up in October and November. So what happens is right around this autumnal equinox, September 22nd this year. You may not know this, but the sun sets at the North Pole on that day every year on the autumnal equinox, fall equinox. This year was September 22nd. The sun sets. Then it's not dark at the North Pole until October 6th or so. And it just went dark at the North Pole. It was 2 weeks of twilight. And right when it goes dark at the North Pole, it can't be it could be just a coincidence. I don't know for sure, but that's about the time that the LRC sets up. So that's why we're in day 1 or 2 of this pattern, and I can show you in a few weeks why I would say that, but I need a few more weeks to figure that out. But the pattern begins about now, and it cycles. A regular cycle develops. Last year's cycle was 46 to 47 days. So if there was a tropical storm or hurricane last year, Hurricane Eta formed around November 10th. And November 10th is 1 month into the pattern that we just had for the last year. So Eta was caught in that weather pattern. And when Eta formed, Hurricane Eta, and we now know it's a 46 to 47 day cycle, you can predict when that part of the pattern will return with a good chance there will be another tropical storm. So as you can see with Eric, in the last few years, he's been getting really good at this. And he predicted we might see a reflection of Eta in mid-May and late June, early July, mid-August, and then late September, early October. Well, in late June and early July, Fred formed. Okay, we had Tropical Storm Fred that went over the mountainous areas of Cuba, so it never really got into becoming a hurricane. But you had Eta, and then Fred formed, okay, and then Elsa formed in the next cycle. So you have Eta in yellow, in red there you see Elsa, and Fred in green. They are all related and all predictable. In fact, your man here, Eric Burris, predicted them. Okay, and then the next part of the pattern cycling through is right now. We're literally going through the Eta part of the pattern now, but the new LRC is setting up. So we're already seeing very, very different things. There is a little system right in the Florida Panhandle now.
Which is, by the way, there have been tornado warnings this morning.
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah, up there, absolutely. Which is so perfect for a tropical-esque. I mean, it just goes to show, though, that that's the magnification of the, the atmospheric energy. But yeah, there have been 2 tornado warnings in the Panhandle.
Interesting, because I didn't even know that was happening right now in Florida. So that possibly is a reflection of Eta, Fred, and Elsa. But Eta, that part of the pattern already produced Fred and Elsa. I don't know if the LRC has ever had 3 follow-up systems in the same year. It's hard to do. But anyway, that's interesting. It's fascinating to me. But the point is, the weather pattern right now is in day 1 or 2. We don't know what the cycle length is. I'm going to have an idea soon. We don't know what it is, but once you know, you can make predictions, not just for tropical storms and hurricanes. I stumbled across that. Behind me on my wall right there. Can I get that picture? Should
Absolutely.
I show it to you? Hold on a second.
He's taking it off the wall.
Okay, we're going to geek out a little bit. You see this?
Yeah.
This is me in the winter of 1987, 1988. And on the left is a snowstorm, 1 foot of snow. On the right, in the upper right, is a snowstorm, 1 foot of snow. Believe it or not, that's the same barbecue grill in my apartment in Oklahoma City. 1 foot of snow on one storm, 1 foot of snow on the other one. The other one just happened to have a lot of wind with it, so it drifted. And then on the bottom is a snowstorm in March, on the bottom right. And on the top is a snowstorm in November, okay? The winter of 1987, 1988. Why is that important? Because that's the year I firmed up what I was noticing. There was a 1 foot snowstorm in Oklahoma City that averages 8 inches of snow during an entire winter. They had a foot of snow in December. A few weeks later, they have another 1 foot snowstorm. And I noticed that I was really obsessed with upper level flow, the river there above us then. And I noticed that the pattern that produced the snowstorms looked similar. And that's when I really put together that they were related And I didn't know yet then, a few years later, I figured out that if you knew the cycle, then you can make predictions for winter storms, for heat waves, for floods, for major severe weather outbreaks, and for hurricanes and more, even every day's weather. And we've developed the model, and that's when I came up with the LRC. Did you like my little mural?
I love it. Well, it's the first time that we've gotten a chance to see it up close. I love it. So just looking at our little surface map for Florida, that little storm system off the coastline of Georgia and South Carolina, it's kind of this overlapping thing, but that's definitely not a part of the old cycle. So would that be the first thing that would maybe key you into, hey, tropics maybe, or just storm systems, maybe a little more opportune there across like Georgia and South Carolina for this upcoming year?
Yes. The Eric, the next year, as you know, let's see what happens in these next critical few weeks.
Right.
Because in Florida, before the jet stream comes through and wipes the tropical season out and hurricane season ends in November or so, there are these indicators. The Carolinas, on my analysis, I had the Carolinas being extremely quiet this past year, and the Carolinas didn't have anything.
Yeah.
They didn't have anything of significance. The pattern now, let's see what happens with this system off the East Coast. Maybe it forms into a system, maybe it doesn't. But Florida still has to watch closely in the next couple of weeks as well before hurricane season winds down.
Yeah.
But where these systems happen are important for figuring out where they might form next year.
Yeah, yeah. So you're now at the point, I'm sure you're just kind of observing, and I mean you are much more technologically advanced in your LRC forecasting. You've been doing it for a very long time, but so I'm journaling, and I'm starting to build just notes on every single day, every single step. And one thing that's interesting, and I don't know that I've even shared this much on Coffee Talk, but the difficult thing, at least for me, and I know that I'm going to be nerding out texting you, is not just observing, but waiting to see. So we're at the phase now where we're observing for the next cycle. But then it becomes difficult looking to see where do they start overlapping? When is that cycle starting to repeat? Can you kind of explain how you get to that point in your forecasting?
Well, we're looking at the best way to find the LRC, although Jeremy Nelson loves looking at the surface maps because everything is cycling. What happens in the upper levels of the atmosphere, okay? What happens up here, about 18,000, 20,000, 30,000 feet above us, creates the conditions that we experience at the surface. So if a big upper level storm you see spinning around in a satellite picture moves into California and Nevada and it heads off to the east towards the Rockies and then into the plains, that storm, that energy will create the surface low pressure areas. So when you see a big trough that we show you in the upper levels of the atmosphere, we say, hey, there, look at a big storm, okay? And we show that to you. When that returns, the match to that, then you can have an idea of what the cycle length might be.
Yeah.
There may be other matches though, so it's not that easy. It's pretty complex. La Nina is supposedly, and the La Nina is the cooling of the tropical Pacific Ocean. The El Nino is the warming of the tropical Pacific Ocean. This year is expected to be another La Nina. I don't like that. Might not be good for you guys either because it's stormier in the southeast when that happens.
Yep.
But not necessarily for sure because the LRC is the centerpiece of this big atmospheric puzzle.
Right.
So La Nina is developing, and usually the cycle lengths are in the 40s to low 50s. In neutral years, the cycle lengths are a lot longer.
Oh, interesting.
Usually. Yeah. So that's something that I've analyzed. So this year, we know it's probably going to be closer to last year's cycle length, but probably not exactly the same. Yeah. Somewhere in the 40s. I've seen them as low as 35 to 40 days and as high as 75 days in the Katrina, Hurricane Rita years. So pretty interesting. But yeah, we don't know the cycle yet, but we'll look for that match.
I never even thought about, Gary's put out a peer-reviewed document, which is fascinating to read, but I didn't even think about El Nino and La Nina extending or shortening the pattern to that. I didn't even think about that.
Well, La Nina and El Nino, ENSO, El Nino Southern Oscillation Index, that is definitely one of the big influences on this bigger picture, whatever the LRC is.
Right.
It's a big influence on it. And but whatever the LRC is, and we'll learn more in the next few years, but it's the centerpiece, and the El Nino and La Nina exert a force on it. But here's why. We might be in a La Nina and it could switch to an El Nino by next summer. Yet whatever pattern sets up now will continue.
There's so much to learn, and I feel like, you've done so much work, and yet there's so much we still don't know. I tell all, anytime we blow a forecast, and God knows you've blown a forecast too. I don't know for sure, but like, you've been in television long enough.
We've all blown forecasts.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you've always used the term or something to the effect of, weather's not an exact science. I mean, these things can just change. There's so much that we know, but man, there's so much that we don't know. And then you add in this LRC cycling, and it gives you this whole new dynamic, but then it gives you so many more questions that you need to discover.
There's a lot of questions, but this is the order to the chaos. So is it not an exact science? Maybe it's more exact than you think.
Right.
We're just figuring it out.
And you just have to figure it out. And you have to have people.
The LRC provides that order to the chaos. So it's far from chaotic. It's extremely organized.
It is.
And that doesn't mean I know exactly what's going to happen. You know exactly what's going to happen. We know that the pattern that created Eta is going to return, and we're going to be looking for a storm. And then when Fred forms, we're both like, whoa, there it is.
Yeah.
It's still pretty amazing.
So, and I don't remember if I was able to share this with you the last time we spoke on Coffee Talk, but the joke in my newsroom is I told you that I had to really prove this to my news director so that she would let me go on TV in public with this. Did I tell you that? Okay.
I don't remember, but yeah.
Okay, so
I'm not surprised.
So as I did it, she said something to the effect of, and Kirsten, if you're watching, love you, but I have to tell the story because it's great. So she said, boss, whose job it is to protect our brand, she said, I hope that you and I can be in my office 6 months from now watching storms you have forecast. And I said, I know we will. And with COVID, I didn't necessarily go into her office, but every single time, you better believe that there was an email that went out with my forecast issued in March and what was happening in August or in September. And the first couple of times, 3-4 months later, she said, wow, that's amazing. And then at the end, she just kind of said, I expect nothing less. It's like she gets it now, which is there is something to that effect. So I don't know if I shared it with everybody here or even if I shared it with you, Gary, on the phone and texting or what have you. But my boss definitely is chewing on that sandwich at this point, I think. And it's wild because there is order to the chaos.
And you just said something that our peers don't quite, they're like, no way.
Yeah.
You can make a prediction in March and you show your boss, look, we predicted this. There's our prediction. Yeah. And look, it's happening right now.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing out there. Yeah.
A mentor of mine still calls it climatology. And he just thinks I'm goofy to do this. But at the end of the day, I mean, there it is.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You can't, if you've seen it now, so some of your followers have seen it and experienced it and increasingly more accurate.
Yep.
And you'll learn more this year. You will. There's more you'll learn all the time. I still learn a lot more. I learned so many more things. Just the experience of going through these first few days is fascinating.
Yeah.
Because we still keep learning new things. And rule number one of forecasting weather is look outside and I see some blue I see some blue skies. So it was raining, so that's cool here in
Well,
Kansas City.
it's very evident that the patterns are changing right now. It's very evident because our cycling that we have logged is no longer valid. So that is absolutely evident. And watching this kind of final piece of Eta doing its thing and fading out and watching the new cycle, it's going to be fascinating. Does anybody have any questions while Gary is here? The L in the LRC, and I love that you were willing to chat with us this morning, and even though you're wearing your Kansas City Chiefs, yeah,
I should have worn a different shirt.
I'm teasing you. No, you wear that shirt.
I'm glad I'm on this morning because this is the beginning of the LRC, and we don't know exactly what it is yet. But the next few weeks will be fascinating. And a lot of people ask, when are you going to issue your winter forecast? I'm like, I can't yet. I don't know the pattern yet. So I always wait till the end of November. I know winter's already starting. It may have already snowed in Kansas City by then, but I have to wait till I really know the pattern before I tell you what I think is going to happen. If I don't know what it is, I'm not just going to blindly tell you. But then we know.
Yeah. Well, and in terms of hurricane forecasting, it's difficult because here we are, October. There's October and November in hurricane season, and it's kind of question marky. But once we can key this in, then we can give you most of hurricane season next year, and there's already a huge benefit. Daryl says, as new knowledge comes to the forefront, it needs to be explained to others for them to understand. By doing that, we refine the knowledge and look beyond the original findings to see what else is there. And it's very true. And I feel like that's what's fun about chatting, Gary. And Gary, I have to say, in the meteorological community, Gary could have tried to lock this down and what have you, but Gary is kind of the guy that says, hey, anybody that wants to learn about this, I want to share it. And I think that's I was afraid to reach out to you at first because I didn't want you to think that I'm just some goober in Orlando who's trying to steal your thunder, because it's absolutely the opposite of that. I want to learn from you and, take this and continue it forward, helping, learning, whatever I can do to help, because there really is something to all of this.
Right. And I'm 35 years into discovering it and finding it and using it. Before me, there was this guy, Jerome Namias, in the 1940s that discovered something similar. But yes, we will save lives with this. This will save businesses revenue. So yes, I have a company as well. At the same time, I've been trying to give it away for years and years and years. And our peers don't quite see it. They don't believe it. They think that there might be cycles up there, but nothing regular. But it is far from that. It is so regular and is extremely valuable. And yes, I've tried, and I've shared it with you, as you know. So
yeah. So a couple of questions people are asking. Carolyn asked this, and we kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier, but Carolyn's asking, why does the pattern set up now?
There's a lot of questions about that, but as I said earlier, the sun sets at the North Pole on the autumnal equinox, and it begins about the time it goes dark at the North Pole. So there's likely an astronomical reason for an astronomical cause. Astronomers, by the way, are the best forecasters in the world, hands down. Astronomers, right now, the good ones, can tell you, there's a whole bunch of them out there, because this isn't that hard, I don't think, but I don't know how to do it. They know in 2058 that there's going to be an eclipse in Florida, let's say. I'm just making this up. I don't know if it's 2058, by the way. But in 2058, they know when the eclipse is going to be to the second. And they will be right unless the earth blows up and the sun is gone. Okay, that doesn't happen. But they will be right. They will get down to the second in 2100. They can make a 90-year forecast, an 80-year forecast right now for when eclipses will happen, because the pattern above us, astronomical cycles are regular, are that regular. I mean, we know that the Earth rotates around the sun once every 365 days, and it rotates on its axis once every 24 hours. So these astronomical cycles exist and are shown, and we experience them every day, and astronomers make great forecasts. The weather pattern is just as regular cycling, but it's a river of air. Since it's a river of air,
it teeter-totters.
It oscillates a little bit. So last year's cycle wasn't exactly 46 to 47 days. It oscillated between 44 and 49 days. This year will oscillate between a certain range. but it's predictable.
Yeah. That's fascinating. So Daryl's asking, could the next step be looking at the influence of the jet stream, not only in the Western Hemisphere, but also over Africa? And I think he's referring to just trying to figure out Cabo Verde's, tropical systems, I would imagine.
Yeah. The Southern Hemisphere and the Northern Hemisphere likely have different cycles, different patterns. There's a westerly belt south of the equator, like we're experiencing north of the equator. The United States just happens to be in the westerly belt. I haven't really studied. I'm studying the Southern Hemisphere this season more significantly. Are they related? Are the cycle lengths the same? I'm going to guess that they're not the same, but they might be. And so we need to go see how that, because there may be some things we can learn from the LRC in the Southern Hemisphere as well. But it's definitely cycling down there too. It might be different.
Take it like a flu shot, right? You see what they're doing down there, and then that's what happens up here, the next season.
Great. Yes.
Could be. You never know. Gary, do you have anything to add? Thank you so much for joining. Do you have anything else?
No. Thank you for having me on again, Eric. And the LRC is beginning. It's absolutely fascinating. And I appreciate you having me on. Of course, you and I are going to be texting as this pattern sets up.
Yeah, I have a feeling we're going to just constantly, which I just don't want to. If I ever get annoying, just let me know.
No. Remember, we all learn from each other. So as we work on this, we're learning more and more and more.
I have to tell you, Zach in New Orleans has definitely been reaching out more and more, trying to get information. So.
That's great.
You may have somebody else that's kind of antennas raised on this.
He's paying attention. The worst disaster, Ida. We were on their podcast.
Yeah.
And Ida, 2 weeks before, we said that New Orleans was the target. They got hit by Ida.
Yeah.
Fortunately, Nicholas went farther west.
Right.
We can talk about why it did. I can show you why and how. But they still had impacts from Nicholas. So Louisiana was the target last year. They might not be the target next year. We'll learn more in the next few weeks.
Yeah, very good. Gary, go do your sports radio and relax for goodness sake. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me on. And am I allowed to drink coffee on Coffee Talk?
Yeah, it's expected. I don't drink coffee anymore because of my surgery, so I'm doing my Premier Protein fake coffee.
Awesome. That's great. And by the way, you look fantastic.
Gary, thank you, buddy. We'll talk to you later. Thanks.
Bye.
Gary Lezak, everybody, my buddy in Kansas City. I always, let me tell you something. For somebody who has put so much work into this and is willing to share it with any knucklehead meteorologist nerd, I am so grateful, because as I've told him personally, he has actually, I feel, changed my career, because I'm able to take this, use it here in Central Florida, and it's rekindled my love for meteorology that I had so many years ago. But, you do the same job for so long, and it eventually just becomes, it just becomes work. And I feel like he's hit that button for me. So I am so grateful to Gary, and to continue to nerd out. All right. So, yeah, as he had mentioned, we're kind of transitioning. So somebody had asked, does Ada recycle? And we're in kind of this blended mode where we're watching the last of the old cycle overlapping the newest of the new cycle. So that storm system off the coast of Georgia and the Carolinas, that's not old. That piece of energy over there in the Panhandle, that is old. So we're kind of watching the passing of the torch, if you will. And so that's all good stuff. We're moving forward, my friends. So what that means for us is we'll watch, we'll learn, we'll observe, and then we'll be able to start forecasting. He does a winter forecast. For me, I start doing monthly forecasts. And each one, I think, gets better and better and better. But there's what we've got for you for now. Showers and thunder showers on the rise. We're getting into a wetter pattern, my friends. High temperatures today, lower 90s. But the rain chances go up for your Friday, your Saturday, and your Sunday. Christine over on YouTube's asking, is this what happened to Florida in 2004? With all the storms we had, we were the target? Yes. And as a matter of fact, the way that I was able to prove this to my boss and to Tony Manolfi was by case studying 2004. Seriously. And we've talked about that on Coffee Talk. It's fascinating. So, yeah. Daryl, it just amazes me that we've taken the accuracy of hurricane predictions from 24 to 48 hours to 5 days in the time I've been in Florida. Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's true when you think about it. I mean we're not nailing exact landfall points in exact days, but we're nailing landfall windows and landfall like weeks. And so I mean months and months out, and that's what's remarkable about it. Lopez Jam, that was a great segment. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, and I appreciate Gary for sharing his. Tim, it had to be amazing to hear a rock star like Gary giving you kudos for your forecasting. Oh yeah, listen, I mean it's taking his theories and working them through and seeing it paying off. I mean, it's one of those things I said at the beginning. I don't mind if it's wrong because I didn't come up with it, but it's so not wrong, For him, he's the one that's put his neck out there and for me at the beginning when I was super skeptic, I'm like, it could be wrong. I'm trying to poke holes in it, but isn't that what peer review is all about, right? So anyway, I love that stuff. Brenda says 04 stunk here in Florida. Yeah, I remember that well. Yeah. All right. Listen, be the sunshine in someone else's day. We went long today, but we had Gary on, and you got to listen to the man. I think I'm going to try and start doing just a quick little update for the afternoons. I don't know, so if this is coffee talk, what do you think of your afternoon cup of joe or something silly? I don't know. Help me name, not long, just quick little update for the afternoon. But I think I want to start doing a quick update in the afternoon. You got to help me come up with it in the theme of coffee talk. Would ya? Patty, is Tony on board and getting into it now? Yes. And you know why? Because we case studied 04. And the way that it was, let me just share this with you. This is wild. And I know that I've shown it to you in the past, but Tony would... My boss, my news director, said, I need you to show Tony because Tony's going to understand this. And I need Tony to tell me that he thinks that this isn't goofy. And I get it. She wanted to protect the brand. Get it. So I said, all right, Tony, what if I could show you Hurricane Charlie in 2003? And he said, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, what if I could show you a storm system in 2003 that cycled over and over again and led to Hurricane Charlie? And if you remember, Hurricane Charlie was a big deal here in Central Florida. And he said, if you can do that, I am absolutely on board. And so you're going to make me do this, aren't you guys? All right, hold on. Stand by. And then I'm done for the day. All right. LRC case study. Charlie. All right. So this is November 3rd, 2003. Do you see that there? Well, in Florida, of course it's blurry. Hold on. I got to do this. If I'm going to do this, I got to do this the right way. Hold on a second. Y'all are getting me into trouble. All right, give me a few seconds here. Daily weather map. No, what is it? It's November 3rd, 2003. November 3rd, 2003. Okay. All right, November 3rd, 2003. Let me just pop you out. Hold on a second. You guys you're making me be nerdy. All right, so here's November 3rd, 2003. And right off the bat, we've got a storm system over southwest Florida. That was, remember, October and November is when that new pattern cycles through. November 3rd, 2003. Okay? Right there. Next cycle, December 10th, 2003. Hold on. December 10th, 2003. There you go. Moisture. Let's go one more cycle forward. January 20th of 04. Give me a second. January 20th. Trough over South Florida. Let's go to March 2nd of 04. March 2nd of 04. Now, there's no decent load. There's a little kink right in there in the isobar, which would indicate some sort of a trough, but there's something very minimal there, okay? All right, let's go to April 12th, 04. So what you're looking at here, April 12th of 04. What you're looking at is cycle by cycle showing the indicators of Charlie. Let's go to May 23rd. 523. All right, this is going to be an upper level chart because it was more of an upper hit that time. Hold on. I got to make it smaller because of the way this image is. But what do you see over South Florida? Low pressure. Okay, let's go one more cycle. July 3rd. 703. Oh, hold on. I hit the wrong button. Stand by. 703. July 3rd. Moisture over Southwest Florida. And that was the last one before Charlie. So the next version of this was Hurricane Charlie, August 13th. 8/13. And of course, we know there's Charlie. Now, this is where it got goofy. So I showed that to Tony, and he's like, okay, but there should have been one more cycle before it reset. And I said, oh, I guess so. And so I calculated it out, and I was like, all right, so that should be about September 25th, September 26th. So let's go to September 26th. My friends, there's Gene. I didn't even realize it, but I just did the numbers. And it showed up. So it was that got Tony Manolfi absolutely engaged. Charlie was big enough, but when Manolfi was like, but there should be one more. And I said, oh, I guess you're right. And then we looked it up, and it was Gene. And that was when Manolfi kind of sat back and said, okay. Like, we just plugged in the numbers. We didn't do anything else. Okay. Tell me that's not eerie, crazy, but it's not crazy. All right. That's how we did it. That's how I got Manolfi on board, and in turn, I was able to go to my boss and said, hey, what if I could tell you, boss, that we could have known Hurricane Charlie was a threat in 2003? And she's like, and Manolfi chimed in with, he just did it to me. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, so Manolfi's going to call me after and be like, I didn't say it like that. You get the idea. Anyway, all right, enough. I am not on the air today. It is honey-do list day, so I'm going to be running around the house. But let's look at some of the names you came up with. Caffeine. I like Caffeine Boost. Joe to Go PM. That's too funny. Y'all are making me when he's making himself do. Let's see. Coffee Talk 2.0. Let's see here. Afternoon Pick Me Up Report. Oh, I like that. Afternoon Coffee Break. I like Afternoon Coffee Break. I like that. Afternoon Sip. That's not bad. Yeah. Interesting. Eric's Weather Nerds Afternoon Edition. Yeah. Huh. All right. We'll have to think about this. Maybe we'll put out like a Google thing, and you guys can vote, and you guys can help me pick. Coffee Talk in the morning is long form. The afternoon is going to be just like a 1-minute quick update, you know? And we can't call it the drive-through because that's what we do when we talk to each other. Coffee Run. I kind of like Coffee Run. I kind of like, or Afternoon Brew. Gosh, there's some good names, y'all. All right. Coffee Quickie. Something tells me, Max, somebody will give me a pow pow. PM Pick Me Up. John, these are good. All right, I'm going to have to make a Google deal. All right, we'll figure that one out. We're done. Be the sunshine in someone else's day. I will update you through the course of the day on social. Java Jolt. These are good. All right, we're going to have to come up with some of this. All right.